everybody, welcome to Better at Beach. Today we are going through a little video analysis of a practice match with my buddy DJ. If you want to run through some video analysis, I do it, DJ does it, Logan Weber does it, and Brandon Joyner does it. So we've got a whole team of players, current pros and former pros, who will analyze your videos for you and work it through you one-on-one. So what you're about to witness is just me and one of my pro players who, I wouldn't say my pro player, but somebody who trusts me for some advice. And we're going to rock through his practice match and see the good, the bad, the ugly, and what we can fix in preparation for his tournament. If you want to check out a program like this and get help with your game from beach volleyball professionals, check out betteratbeach.com/film session. We'll include it on the link below. Don't forget to subscribe and chuck some comments in there. All right. Ready, DJ?
Yeah, and I just want to add, I think it's interesting why film sessions are good. Um, I like to find someone that I trust, as you said, and there's in beach volleyball, obviously not all of the players have coaches, and you're switching partners, so sometimes you switch coaches, so it's really hard to decide like who do you go to, but at the end, if you're always just by yourself, you're stuck with the same idea. And sometimes it's really nice to have somebody else take a look of a same game that you already watched and just tell you their own opinion. And you can learn a lot from them, from their perspective, and maybe get useful ideas on what you could do better or what you could at least different. So you can try it, and then maybe that's gonna kind of bring you to a better result or a better finish. And I always think about who do I trust the most because I want this to come from someone that already proven to me that they know what they're talking about, they know me, they understand my way of playing and my way of thinking of the game. And me and Mark, like two of us worked a lot together and we played together as well. So I couldn't find anyone better who would help me with exactly kind of understanding of the game. So in this game, I wanna hear Mark's opinion on what what am I doing wrong and how could I change my mindset or the thought process to make better decision. I think at this point it's really about decision making and you will see on the video, but we lost this match and it's decisions that kind of got us in trouble and I'm really curious to hear somebody else's opinion.
Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're always looking for somebody who can see the holes that we can't see. It's easy to look at your own video and confirm your own ideas, but if everybody needed to confirm their own ideas, we wouldn't have coaches in any sports or leaders or mentors. So let's see what we can check out. So, what was going through your head during this, and what do you want to see out of the video? Like, what problems were there? You said you couldn't stop them because they were too big.
Yeah, so there were two tall, really tall players. Like both of them are like 2 meters or taller. Lev Prima and Skylar Kaufman. Both pretty much play as blockers, but Lev recently started playing more defense. So when you have two tall players, like whoever you serve, you end up dealing with, let's say, a blocker or like a really tall player attacking. And we tried with a different kind of strategy, but we did have a lot of trouble because if they didn't know what to do, they were just hitting high off the hands from Bill. And I think we were trying to do a lot of movements to trick them to go somewhere, but that kind of makes us be less stable and for blocker a little less high, which allowed them then to just kind of use their height against us. So I'm curious to hear like how would you approach playing this type of a team with, let's say, this type of a blocker.
Cool. Yeah, I know Skylar. I played him in a tournament, and we got a few practice matches against each other recently. He makes big, strong, solid moves. I mean, he runs a lot of fours. He doesn't run a lot of threes. So sorry, Skylar, if I'm giving stuff away, but he runs fours really effectively. You can't see his lean, when he's squatting down, so sometimes to beat him, you almost have to rely on the idea that he's running a 4. At least that's how I got a couple of points on him late recently.
And like I think in this video we were pretty successful on the side out. We just could not get a stop. And then eventually they just found a couple stops that they got us like that got them the lead. But it just feels like we did not find any solution that we could build up on.
Okay. So mainly we just got to talk about defense. Huh?
Yeah, I think defense was kind of really weak in this match. So like it felt like, oh, we have to side out if we want to win. Like we had to side out and then maybe serve an ace. Like that's kind of how it felt.
All right, let's see your defensive movement back there. So you're playing him kind of wide. Looks initially a little bit shallow. Were you playing for the hit?
To be Wicked by Duff Cameron, now playing on Spotify.
DJ?
I don't see the screen. Yeah, now I see it. So I see the left shooting line.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here it looks like you're dug in, hard angle, maybe a little bit shallow. Are you playing for hard angle or are you playing for shots in this instance?
I'm playing for hard angle and then trying to see if the line shot comes because Lev rarely cuts.
Okay.
So I'm mostly kind of waiting hard angle in the line. He does tend to like hit pretty high over block, like quick contact. So I'm kind of waiting to see if he taps that ball over blocker to be ready to run.
Okay. So let's see it right here. A little early peel.
So on the backside, he has a little different tendency. He does a lot of angle swings on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm a little more committed to angle. But he ended up hitting middle from a pretty good set from there.
Yeah. And Bill acknowledges that. He's like, okay, good set, early peel.
Yeah.
Not too much to do on an open net against a big hitter. All right, we don't need to. Ooh, tight set. This is a position I want you to be cautious of when you're shifting back there defensively. Like when we shift, even if you're late to filling the spot, ideally you can shuffle over there instead of the full hip turn with a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a little late getting back to D, then you're nervous about running, but the only thing that you're going to dig now is like a slow cut shot that might be right here. But sprinting into this position doesn't give you the ability to recover in case you guess or move wrong.
So if I shuffle, what else could I get? Because shuffle would be a little slower, right?
Yeah, but if your body's crossed this way, you're not going to dig anything hard driven anyway.
Yeah.
Right? If you shuffle, then you could dig hard driven. You can run forward for the cut. And if they hit a crappy shot back to your left, at least you have the ability to rebalance. But here, if he accidentally, and maybe it was a read play, so I don't know what's in your head in the middle of it. But if he ends up shooting this over there, you have no ability to recover when you cross over.
So at what point then do we turn the hips? When we see the ball? So if I see the ball go line, then turn the hips and just run as fast as you can?
Yeah. Even on 4s and 3s, I'm a big fan of shuffle to run instead of straight run. Like, you know how you use your crossover footwork for chasing a high line? Like, that's not what a 4 should look like. A 4 should look like we're trying to dig a high line, but we're not sprinting at the high line where it's impossible to recover for the overcross. That way we can be committed-ish to the high line, but still able to recover if they hit a janky overcross ball.
Makes sense, yeah.
All right, let's just look on defense. I was actually working with Jake, and we're doing the same thing. I mean, all of his fours were full commit. So there's really no opportunity for him to get to any other ball because he used that crossover step to run a 4. And you just need to be slightly closer to that area, right? You don't need to like sprint and be there now.
But if you play a 4, don't you want to kind of convince them that you're big time on the angle?
Yeah. So then on contact, you shuffle and then run.
So shuffle, and then if you see the hand, then run.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Because in the end, you're not playing for low line, you're only playing for high line. So
right.
You should have enough time, right?
But even low line, if you use the crossover step to start,
yeah, like, you're not getting.
You can't then turn to the right effectively. Yeah, and you're not trying to get hard driven, but with a shuffle step, you might accidentally get a hard driven dig. Okay, so definitely a 2 setup.
Yeah.
Did you and Bill discuss at all, like, how long it's taken him to get to the net?
No.
Okay.
He's usually faster than the others. Like, a lot of blockers that I play with, like, they don't really consider even blocking option, and pretty often Bill would get there and block an option because he thinks about like serving a little higher and then getting there pretty early.
Yeah, like this is smart positioning by him. There was one play earlier where he stayed on Skylar for a long time when he was definitely not a threat. And then, you know, if you move late, you're usually a little bit easier to see. But Bill's also got really good shuffle steps. So, I mean, this play right here, this is our point.
Yeah, it's a little unlucky.
Yeah. Just reached his hand in just a little bit and got tooled off the outside forearm. Oof. Good dig by Lev.
All right, that was a good late shuffle.
Yeah. All right, here's a look at defense. No, it isn't.
No defense again.
No defense again.
Yeah, and these games are like to 15, so they're pretty short now because of the league.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you got to jump on it, and you got to know the team before you get on the court.
Yeah, like you already have to be ready with the strategy, with all the situations, and pretty much if your strategy is wrong, you're going to lose one set for sure. So this is the 4.
Mm-hmm. So instead of this full commit, you can easily make the same play with a shuffle, right? A 4 is not designed to get the hard driven line. So for this one, you're not really going to get there. But leaving now, even if he misses middle or like a slow cross ball, there's no chance you can get to that. And then you'd probably be more comfortable on this swing. So if this turns into a shuffle, like at the same timing, if this turns into a shuffle and then by now you're there, you might be more oriented to him in a defensive position than looking at the ball hard driven like this. Because if we're looking at the ball sideways, hard driven, like it's not a normal digging position.
Yeah.
Right. So you might have shuffled and then at least laid a left hand out.
So I would make one shuffle, or I would make like a cross step shuffle, or
Yeah, it's almost like a resettling. Like resettle with a little bit of momentum leading into it. But it's not like shuffle, 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 shuffle. It's just hop over
yeah,
to the left with your feet still, with your chest and your hips still oriented to the attacker.
makes sense.
Because if I think, yeah, see, you would have, in my mind, a slightly better chance at digging that if you were looking at him like this.
Yeah, because this looks like
Looking at
this looks way closer from here than in the game. Like in the game, this just feels like so far, but if I'm horizontal, I might lay down and get that with left arm.
yeah. I don't want to see what he saw. So let's see what Skylar saw. So Skylar might have felt this little bit of lean by Bill on takeoff.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe. Okay. This is good by Lev. See how
Lev's
he,
actually playing really good read defense. Like he's pretty relaxed and kind of just waits to see something.
yeah. Like he doesn't make a monster move to try to fill in the cross. He just replants, so he might be giving up hard driven to the sideline, but this is a good position for the ball to do that, because since the set's in the middle of the court, not a lot of people are going to thunder on the tee on like the half court line. So I
Yeah.
think for this ball position and this defensive position, he's covering a lot. Like he's really close to the high line. He's really close to the cut. And the only thing that might beat him is a very steep or wide fast ball to the sideline. Ooh, he maybe should have had that.
That was a really good highlight. Like if it was a little slower, he would get it.
Yeah. Okay, juke step. Looks early.
It is early.
Yeah. Right, because by the time you come back, let's see if we.
But the question is like, does he even see me, or he just sees this huge step from Bill? In my opinion, like this juke step only makes sense if blocker doesn't show anything. But if I would know, let's say in advance, that Bill's gonna take this step, I would probably not even juke, and I would just try to stay there so I can maybe come over him. Like
Yeah.
I just feel this is such a bad combination of him playing kind of step and a jump, which is pretty easy to see, and then me trying to juke, where the chance of juke working is pretty low in this scenario.
Let's see the pass.
It's so unnecessary. I think like if I didn't juke, we might have a better chance.
And this is a 2 call?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then the question is, are you running a 4 or a juke on a 2 call?
So sometimes on a two, I would like stay and just be steady, and sometimes I kind of expect my blocker to stay there so he can come back on a three.
Mm-hmm.
So then I would pretend like I'm leaving, and then I would just come back.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if the blocker is steady, when I leave, when I make a juke, I hide behind the blockers. So when I come back, they don't really see me. Where if the blocker moves, then it's like we're both exposed, and it doesn't really look that much convincing anymore. Because from here, he's not gonna come back to three for sure. Like this is really, really far.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Bill's going for shot blocking here. Especially like with how late he is. It looks like he's waiting for that overcut. So his mental responsibility, if I know his head, is all right. I'm trying to get the overcut or overcross, and then you are a little bit off balance, and that's a perfect placement by Lev. So
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Now Bill's on time. Now he's cued in.
So here, this was a three where I play it just steady, so I'm ready to run. So I don't do anything, but Bill tries to do something, and they just hit high, and like all the faking and showing and taking goes goes nowhere because Skylar just uses his height.
Yeah.
Like this is like our first time playing him. Like, well, we play him once on the wind, but knowing this, next time I don't know if I would do that much diving just because most of his hits are really high and not sharp.
Mm-hmm. That's a good middle swing by Bill. Good seam swing. I feel like you're about to take offline.
I am, but I don't think he saw me here. We
This
can
is
see.
so you see this? Like it's kind of a modified crossover shuffle. That should be
Yeah,
the move. Yeah. Yeah, because then your body is still kind of oriented to him, ready to dig hard driven if you're there on time, but it's not full commit. You could have always like rebalanced to a high sloppy cross.
yeah. I think that was better. I just think like here, I think this was a four, and Bill took a step again, which we tried to work on. I think to get it to, or actually we can you go back? Was that a back set? It was a back set, right? Yeah, we said on the back set that he runs a two, but I'm curious what you think. I feel every time the blocker runs a two with a step, that's way too easy to see. That's my opinion. Um, I like blocker if they're blocking two. I like them setting up early to a two and then jumping there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always, so as attacker, you always worry, what if they jump this way?
Yeah.
But I feel if the blocker takes a big step, I know that they don't have time to jump back. And then it becomes much easier to make a decision. And then as a defender, every time my blocker takes a step, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like naked. You know, I'm like me against the attacker on the whole court with the line open. And that's exactly what happened here. He see Bill is not there. And he just taps the low line, which I would get only if I'm early on the line.
So is
So
this what you
it almost feels like we're not synchronized, if that makes sense. It almost feels like Bill thinks like, oh, this is a great play for me to take a step and delay and play like because from here he's not gonna rip angle. But I'm playing like, hey, Bill is gonna show this, so it's gonna be really easy to get that slower shot from that tough position. So like I'm playing a late move, he's playing an early move. And I feel like that doesn't combine.
so is he playing a two or are you guys playing a two or a four on this play?
We're playing a two. Yeah.
Well then
But
Bill
it's a side wind.
yeah. Then Bill made the right move here.
Probably, yes.
Because
But I think I
he's showing
Lev
you
does a lot. Lev does a lot of angle swings and align shots. But as a defender, if I move early to the line, he never goes line. Like if I'm on the line, he never goes line.
mm-hmm.
So usually on the backside, he kind of has a little worse vision on the right eye, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So like he sees the left side of the court, and then usually he goes to the left side of the court, either into the wind hard or over the blocker. So I kind of wanted to make sure that I kind of show him the line is open. But with this kind of huge step, I feel that's not a good decision. So I do think that next time I should be on the line and then maybe be ready to run or like double up back to the angle rather than making move to the left, maybe being on the left and then making move to the right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, or pre-positioning here. Sorry, pre-positioning. Where is this cursor? Like right here.
Yeah,
Because
like starting there, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
because
what I'm saying, right? And then maybe like staying or leaving to double up
mhm,
rather than what I'm doing now is like I'm staying or leaving, but I'm always opening the low line,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, because digging hard driven on the move is probably one of the hardest things to do in volleyball. So if you're running a 2, you need to settle for the hard driven, and you should be stable. Uh, then you can choose to take off if you see something slow down. But you're running a 4 and Bill's running a 2 here, so you got to get on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, that's same as that previous one that we watched. That I made a juke from the 2 and he made the big step.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he saw anything here because this looks like a pretty good setup.
You look early. Like we know now he's not off the ground yet, and we know you're taking off.
Yeah.
Like now is when that move should have started generating.
Yeah. Sometimes I kind of like I think I have to leave slightly earlier on people that don't shoot a high line up, but kind of forward. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, Skylar did a couple times, but Troy Field does it too. Or I don't know, there's a couple players who would like go really high and then like flat line.
Yeah.
And then like I question myself, are they actually like looking at me or are they just looking at blockers? So then sometimes I have to like go maybe half second early to be there for that flat line rather than the high line.
You don't need to be there. You need to be near it. You know what I mean? Like just half a step closer is where we can get high line digs. But the need right now to sprint is one, it's making you look a little bit off balance, and two, it's giving an easier answer to the hitter because as soon as they see this hip
Yeah,
turn,
that makes sense.
a decision is made. Like that's real easy.
Yeah.
But if I see you
So would you say
shuffle
that we almost
and your
want to
hips are still at
reduce the
me,
number of
still a
times that
little
we,
insecure if you're going or like coming back.
yeah. So my question is like, do you think that then we need to reduce number of times that we're getting a full sprint unless it's like you saw the ball and then you sprint?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Full sprints are for when you know where the ball's going to land and then you're chasing it. Right? Everything else should be shuffle work.
Interesting. Okay. So as you see, we had almost no stops in the whole set.
Yeah. But we still haven't played a true defense yet.
Yeah.
See where he's parked for the 2? Okay. Yeah, Lev's looking good and stable on defense.
Yep. He actually makes a lot of digs. Like, if you make something slower, he's usually on it. This was supposed to be a 3,
Yeah, it looks like you're jacking up your hip orientation.
right? And I feel like that a lot. Like I'm sometimes on a good spot, but like my digs go everywhere, and I feel like my hips are just left and right all the time. Like I have pretty tight hips, so I don't know if that's the problem, but pretty often I end up like moving with my hips the wrong direction.
Hmm. Yeah, if you can keep your belly button and your hips locked on the hitter until it's time to chase the ball, you'll be in a better position a lot. Even this is like one of those examples. Look, he turns, his hips are now not quite at the hitter, and he's in a good position, but because he ran there instead of shuffling there, also it's a very good sharp hit. Um, then he kind of shanks that ball out of bounds. But had he used a shuffle step there, I think he's got a better chance at this dig. Like he's already in position, and if his hips stay, he has a better chance on that. I'm not sure if he just like read or anticipated cut shot. That's a good sharp cross, but I think he's got a better chance if his hips stay stable. All right, let's take a look here. Go!
Do you think my step was too late? And should there even be a step to the left that I took, or should it just be just steady legs? Because I feel like that last step that I took to the sideline caused me to be late to not get to that ball.
Yeah. At some point, you have to know during the match if you've been in motion every time and is it equaling digs, or have you chosen like, you know what, I'm getting caught moving, he's shooting away from me, let me just see if I can get stable in the fat part of the area and chase.
Yeah. Because that's kind of the thought process that I had was like, this time I'm not gonna run or fake. But I feel like even when I stay, sometimes I still make that step kind of to be even more true to the call, and then I end up moving again.
Yeah, I mean, what's the harm in going to your position now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See what they hit when you run a natural two. That gives you the information that you need to then say, okay, when he sees me in the line, Bill in the cross, this is the type of shot that he hits. That informs if you should run a three, or if you should just kind of hover middle, this time. Like, should you run a three with the blocker? Should you run a three with the defender? Uh, but each time here, you've been in just a little bit of motion. So we did see that, okay, Skylar definitely felt Bill's inside, and he chose this little baby line. I would run that same play again with an easy two and then say, all right, does he choose the same thing? But the way you think is so internal. Like, what did my legs do? What did my feet do? And you've got to start studying the scenario that you gave them and the choice that they made.
Yeah.
Because like talking about you having tight hips in the middle of the match, you're if you're thinking that, like, your head's not in the right place. It's got to be, okay, we gave them this, they definitely saw this setup, this is the shot they chose, so let's see if they do it again with the same setup.
Makes sense. Yep. So here I don't know if I missed the call. I don't remember. One time I missed the call, one time I double up.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I swear, every time I double up, the ball would go where I was supposed to be. And when I'm there, the ball's not there. But this fake step didn't do anything. Like, I don't know if this would make more sense if I actually started on the line and then double up. But whatever I did, I'm pretty sure he didn't even see.
Yeah. And this lean by Bill is a little bit early. Like, I think that lean is easy for Lev to see. And then we got nobody home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had to be a miscue because he's like, "What are you doing?" Nice.
Yeah. He kind of ran to Skylar, but that was a really quick touch by Lev.
Yeah. Good opportunity. That's another one with Lev. If he shuffles there, he might have you.
Yeah.
Right? That little bit of a crossover, and then his hips are turned that way.
So it doesn't matter it's me, but like let's say when would you shuffle? So if you go a little back, like when would you stay closer to middle and when would you shuffle? So let's say you see the attacker. I took a pretty strong approach. Like here, when
Mm-hmm.
you see someone come that hard, you're like, okay, now I have to respect it and shuffle to my spot. And then if I don't get this big of approach, then the like defender can stay closer to middle. Or like when do you actually like shuffle back to your angle, or when do you actually like just I'm just gonna be steady wherever I am and be ready to move. Because shuffle always gets you a little bit out of balance.
Yeah. I think my answer has got to be like the moral of the story is if the longer I can keep my hips on the hitter, the more I can dig. Right. And then if you're in the bigger part of the court, you're more centralized, then you should have cut and high line if you're deep enough, or you should have cut if you're shallow. You might get beat by a deep high line. If you're deeper in the court, then high line is easier and cut shots tougher. But when isn't necessarily as important, so long as your hips are able to receive a ball coming at you instead of get hit in the side of the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
So
just
here, for example, I didn't have time. Like I saw what he called, but like I was already in that part of the court. I didn't have time to go to the angle, so I just decided to stay. But I don't know what would be a better decision there. Like maybe blocker taking angle or
yeah, that's tough. I mean, you should have a rule set with Bill where you know what you're taking in scramble plays and transition. Whether you choose line or cross, like you've got to book it there. Then if he flips the call, then you can change from there. But yeah, you just got caught defenseless, like a little out of position there. Okay. Woo, nice. Oh, Nice pass, good hit. Nice. Let's see what Lev did.
Yeah, I was out. See, like that move to the left, that's what I do too. I think that's wrong. Like if we can somehow not make that move, since nothing is telling you that that ball is going there, right?
But you're also doing that from here. Like you're trying to get to a place where you're where you have to make this big move to defend the line. Like
Yeah.
I like right now for the twos, I like Lev's starting position a little bit more.
So a little closer to the line.
Yeah. Because again, if you show them this setup, then it's the learning opportunity for the next time you show them that exact same setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes he makes big moves, sometimes he uses shuffle steps, but if he added a couple more shuffles to this match, he'd have a couple more digs too. Oh, good chance. Man. He's in a good spot to dig a lot of balls there. He's in a good spot to dig a lot of shots there.
So you're saying like closer to the middle, right?
Well, if he's playing for shots, closer to the middle. You know, you got to choose what you're hitting. And if you're playing against like lookers, I love hanging out in the middle and not giving them an answer and then chasing after that.
Yeah.
There's a touch. All right, let's see it. So Bill's running a 2. You're running a half 2, half 4. Good touch, quick set. Yeah, I would just say you've got a lot of 2 calls here, but you haven't really run any 2s yet. You know, like you're so worried about him seeing you where you are that you're not quite prepped for defense.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel as well.
Yeah. Let him see where you are, but learn their mind and their tactics in that setup.
Yeah, so like it's better to, if we would translate this to like we did a lot of twos, right? So it's better to, instead of do a lot of twos that look like that. That was a good dig. Um, definitely got us on that one. Instead of running a lot of twos like that, where I'm like kind of trying to hide and this and that, it's better to run, let's say, 3 straight up twos and not dig any balls because they roll a cut, but then the fourth one to play a 3 and then earn that 1 cut, right? So like instead of trying, what I'm trying to do is like kind of hide and get every point because I'm hiding and then showing, hiding and showing. But in the end, I get nothing. So maybe it's better just being fine with losing a couple points, and then later on, like getting those points later on a different call.
Give up your pawn to get the king. Right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the whole tactic is I have to sacrifice this in order to learn or in order to set something else up. But each point here, you're trying to go for the king. And then again, it's just that long-term stat taking.
So here it would be like just the same. My thought process is like he didn't use any angle swings or cuts. So we're playing a one where you can see that my knees kind of turn to the line.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing a cut where I'm getting like a deep angle and a line, and then he just crushes sharp angle, which is okay. Like, he made a really good shot first time in the game. Yeah, I definitely feel that I was moving all the time.
Well, that's when you say in the match, okay, dude, that's the first time we've run a line. So we've got no stats on that anyway. And it's the first time that he's hit super sharp angle. Like, either you say, okay, let's run a line again and see what he does. But it's a little late in the match now to start experimenting with new plays. Or you go back to a 2 and you run like a natural 2.
Yeah, that's such a good positioning
Mm-hmm.
for the body position and the ball position from here. He's giving up the cut, but cut is hard to hit from there.
I don't think he's given up the cut. I think he's in a perfect position for a cut. The only thing he's given up is high hard cross, which Bill hasn't hit yet. Yeah, I mean, like Bill hit the one seam ball, and then a bunch of high lines, poke backs. So this defensive position, I think, is matching Bill's shot chart in this match. And it looks like he didn't really care if you saw him or not. Right? Like, I'm sitting middle. This is my zone, my position. Now let's see what you do. And then you can walk into that. What happened there? Oh, that stinks.
Skylar gave us the point. Yeah, I thought it was line again. But even if you look my feet, that does not look right. That on the contact, my feet are like, I don't know if that's a split step. It just kind of feels like that I'm not really balanced to go anywhere.
Well, we talked about this in practice when we did it, right?
Yeah.
You shifting this way versus starting super deep and walking into the court. Like, all of your better digs and your better movement when we practiced together were when you were walking forward into the court instead of translating sideways.
Yeah. I get sometimes like I have a hard time doing it if, like, for example, we're serving left, right? And he runs a back set. That means that I have to go all the way back to the deep corner, and I feel I don't have time to do it. And then I end up staying shallower and then making whatever I'm used to do, which does not work.
Well, that's the advantage of a back set. This one I liked because there was no real sideways movement.
Also, no reaction to the high line. But at least I'm protecting what's mine.
Yeah.
I think there I was just thinking, like, I'm just gonna make sure that I get a hard driven angle because he likes to hit it from there, and I just let Bill deal with the line.
Yeah. Hang on. I got my assistant coach coming in. Hey, babe. Yeah, I got my coffee, and we look volleyball. Hi.
Hello.
So this you're running a 3?
Yeah, I would say according to my body. Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a 3. And then that's the same thing what you said, right? My hips are turned, I can't recover, and this was the last point. And after this point, and my thought process is like, I feel like I moved every single ball in 2 sets.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And what's the worst part of that is like we didn't call any fours. Maybe 1 4 in 2 sets.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I feel I just have to be more ready to give up stuff and just wait for the better chance to take it rather than nonstop trying to hide and then being out of balance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that general concern that they know where I am, they know where I am, they know where I am. Like, you have to let them know where you are at some point in order to lay an appropriate trap.
Yeah. So if I play more like okay, I'm here and trying to set up something, what would you say for the blocker then? Like, is it should the blocker do the same or because I used to have a theory which I might still think it's right is either the blocker should be the one that is making moves or the defender should be the one that is making moves. But maybe that theory is wrong.
It's totally dependent on your team's skill set. If
Yeah,
you know if you know that you're bad while moving, then you got to get stable. If your blocker gets a lot of touches and blocks by moving, they have to get moving, right? So like you can't blanket statement that across all teams, uh, and even across all players. Like you have to be able to make the decision. If I'm in motion, is this jacking them up? If I get stable, did I at least get the chance to pursue a ball better?
yeah, yeah. Because as a blocker, I pretty often like to, let's say, make a huge step and then dive back because I knew that with that huge step might give advantage to my defender to make a dig because they think that I'm over there.
Yeah.
And I used to like play for my defender a lot, not trying to make a block, but more like letting them to see me on the angle, for example. And then they would either shoot angle or hit weaker angle, and then Leela would just pick that up like it was nothing. Um, but I feel if my blocker is just like exclusive, it's like okay, the only way we're gonna get defense is if I get it, and then it becomes kind of like
DJ.
it becomes pretty challenging on like I need to make a dig. They're gonna see they're gonna see where I am, which means I have to run the whole court because my blocker is just going up and down. And then I kind of like I end up, cheating, and I think that's where it all comes from. It's like, oh, the blocker is playing pretty simple, so I have to do something.
But
But at this point, it's like,
only if
yeah,
the offense gives you that, right? Like each team is different. Some people stay middle, they throw hands. Some people like Bill, he's a little bit more of a shuffle step play. Like he'll make those side jukes. You have to know who is affecting who, and then what your matchups are one on one. Like if they're looking at you constantly and you're in motion, it means something about their eyes are giving away, are seeing something that you're giving away. So then you say,
yeah,
okay, he's looking at me every time. Let me see what happens when I sit still. Okay, he's looking at me time and I'm sitting still in a defensive base. Let's see what happens when I sit middle. Do they like start hitching? But you don't always need to eject. You're doing a lot of ejecting out of a position and into a position from here. So at some point through that match, you had to have said, and I think you did at the end of that match, that you said I was moving on every play. Right. I always,
Yeah.
against most players, and again, we've had the same finishes, so I can't say like I did it better than you, but I like to see if I hold my position first, what decisions are they making, and then I can play from there. And if I don't figure that out, hopefully my blocker does. But you can't be running twos when you should be running fours, and fours when you should be running ones or twos. So we'll get after that. Maybe we could run a practice and again see what you're doing. But the side to side and the crossover, we can eliminate that pretty immediately. And then if you're going to run a two, run it really early in the match, naturally, within your base, so that you can see what happens when you do it, and then do it a second time, and then go, okay, when this happens, he does this. So now I have the opportunity to move.
So when you try to make all these decisions, what happens if like I'm thinking about this, okay, like I'm gonna try to do the same thing, and then your blocker does like two different things.
It's a relationship thing, man. You got to get on the same page.
Because maybe the blocker makes a step one time and maybe the blocker stays one time.
Mm-hmm.
So should we have a different code then for each thing so we know what so we can figure out what is he seeing?
Yes. The conversations back and forth are key, right? It's, hey, he's done this 3 times. Let's see if he does it again. So make sure that you hold this lineup.
Yeah.
That's all. But they need to understand, if you're steering the ship defensively, like, you need to let them know what you need them to do to figure out the answer to the problem. And if they are up there, like sometimes when I'm blocking, I'm like, hey, dude, you need to clear out of the line, make sure that they see you in the cross, and make sure that they have no idea or no hint that you even might pursue a high line. Like, it is mine, clear out of there, let them see you clear out of there.
Yeah.
And then on the next point, be like, okay, so when we did that, and it's not like, oh, we won that point. It's, okay, so when we did that, they did this. It's good information for next time. But I gotta run, DJ. I got a accounting meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark. Thanks for taking time, and this was great. All the advice is always held from someone else except me, because then sometimes you overthink, sometimes you convince yourself that you know what you're doing, but just having new ideas and just shifting a little bit, the mindset can help a lot.
Yeah. Cool. Guys, DJ also has his own YouTube channel. You probably saw it, but it's DJ Klasnick Beach Quick channel, and you can find him on Instagram. And if you want to get any of these private sessions for yourself, just head to betteratbeach.com/film session. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something from it. Give us a like, a comment, a follow, and come to a camp. It'll be fun. Peace out.